Lisa, we are going to tell the studio audience about the 2014 season.
Great, I love that.
I know.
All right.
We start the season with Neil Simon's Laughter on the 23rd Floor. A few years ago, we did our shows, which was a takeoff on your show of shows, which was the Carl Reiner, Sid Caesar, Emma Jean Coca classic sketch comedy. Now we have a chance to actually do Neil Simon's fictional take on what it was like to be in the writing room
behind the scenes
for that show.
Followed by recent Tony Award-winning comedy Vanya and Sonia and Masha and Spike.
Good job, Lisa. I happened to be fortunate enough to see the show a few months ago while I was in New York, and I saw it and immediately realized this is the perfect show for our audience. It is hysterical, it is touching, it's about family, it's about learning how to live again, and I just feel like our audience is going to embrace it the same way the Tony Award voters embraced it. It's just an incredible new piece of theater. Then we go to My Fair Lady, the classic American musical, which is really one of our very favorite musicals of all time.
A classic tale about Eliza Doolittle and Henry Higgins. Professor Higgins accepts the bet that he can't turn the street urchin, Eliza Doolittle, into a beautiful, refined English lady.
I think ours is going to be unique because one of the things that you remember no matter when you see the show is the opportunity to have these glorious pictures on stage, beautiful costumes, extraordinary. The Oscar scene comes to mind and things like that. And I think our production is going to focus really specifically on a new take on the costume design, and I think that when you combine that with extraordinary actors, beautiful scenery, and
classic songs and tunes
that everybody knows, I really believe that My Fair Lady is going to be a revival that everybody remembers.
And then onto the amazing and stunning, grand, beautiful Miss Saigon. Was that too much?
No, I think it's perfect.
Okay.
Miss Saigon was a show that I did about 10 years ago now, and it was really one of the best experiences I ever had directing a show. I really fell in love with the characters, with the story, with the people, and I think a lot of people think of it as this grand piece similar to Les Miserables. And in our theater, it's still going to have that sense of grandeur, but I also think that what's going to be special about it is that it's going to have a sense of intimacy that you're not used to seeing with the piece. And I'm thrilled at the opportunity to 10 years after I did it the first time to sort of re-examine it and re-explore it. And I can already tell you from the production designs that we're throwing around, it's going to probably be one of the most unique designs we've ever done at the Playhouse. Then we have the classic comedy, A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. If someone was to ask me what's the funniest musical you've ever seen, I would definitely say it's A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. I got to see it with Nathan Lane in the revival, and I know that a lot of people remember the Zero Mostel version, but I think giving us a chance to put some classic Playhouse faces in that cast while also introducing some new folks that people haven't met before, it's a really great opportunity to do the show a little bit different.
We round out the main stage season with the classic A Christmas Carol.
Every year it's a bit of a struggle to find something new and something different. So this year we decided that we were going to create something new of our own, and that's a brand new take on A Christmas Carol.
We had such a great time with the 2013 season. We had youth theater kids in Evita, in Les Mis, in Cats.
Christmas Story that's coming up.
In Christmas Story that's coming up, and it's just been wonderful to have them, and they're incredibly talented, and so we're gonna
bring them back for 2014 for this end of the year piece, and we're also going to have a good portion of the actors not only sing but also play instruments. So it's going to be a very unique piece that I hope will become a tradition at Flat Rock Playhouse that we can bring back year after year after year. The 2014 Playhouse Downtown season starts off with The Fantastics, which is one of the most beautiful and longest running musicals of all time. And I think it is that because it is one of the most simple, beautiful stories ever written, with some gorgeous songs. And the simplicity comes from the idea that it's just about two lovers who fall in love as children and young adults, and then they decide to go out into the world and see what else is out there for them. And when they see what the world has to offer, they come back to what was just so simple and pure to begin with. And it is just a beautiful message, and the execution of it is just absolutely stunning. And I know downtown, it's going to be a very, very special experience for our audience.
And it's also a really special show for us because it was actually the first musical that the Playhouse ever produced in the history of the theater. And we haven't revisited the show in a long time. So it's fun to sort of revisit our roots and where we've come from and offer it to a new generation. Following the Fantastics is another beautiful musical called The Last 5 Years.
The Last 5 Years is a modern love story written by Jason Robert Brown, who has written some gorgeous music, not just for that show, but for other Broadway shows like Parade and Urban Cowboy and many others. It follows 5 years of a relationship between two people, it's a two-character show, and they fall in love relatively young, and then as they grow over 5 years as people and in their careers, we get to understand how their relationship evolves.
With a twist.
Yes, there's a great twist to the show because Jamie, the man, tells the story from beginning to end as the relationship happened, but the female character, Kathy, tells the story in reverse. So at the beginning of the play, he starts at the beginning, but she starts at the end. And then they meet in the middle on their wedding day. And it is a really, really beautiful execution of an incredibly interesting and real love story about two people who grow together and then grow apart. Then we have the classic farce, Boing Boing, which was recently revived on Broadway. I got to see it and I just had a blast. The changes they made to the show were fabulous, and we've always done farces at Flat Rock Playhouse for many, many years. And just the concept is funny. I mean, the idea that an architect with an apartment in Paris that has 3 girlfriends, all of which are
flight attendants,
and it works out great because they're never in town at the same time, but then because of a series of circumstances, they all end up being stuck in Paris at the same time, and they all come to his apartment at the same time. Just the concept is great, and I know that people are going to love watching it at the Playhouse downtown where they're up close and personal with the action.
And we round out the season with The Mystery of Irma Vep. The Mystery of Irma Vep is a theater sort of cult classic. If you like the Tuna series, if you like The Big Bang,
Complete Works, all that stuff.
It's 2 actors playing multiple parts, suffering through a million costume changes.
Yes, and it spoofs everything from classic film to
Gothic horror
and Victorian melodrama and everything in between. And with Preston Dyer and Scott Treadway playing the leads, it's definitely going to be a good time. So I think it's going to be a big hit for the second half of the season, and we're going to turn the Playhouse downtown into a really cool Gothic sort of palace. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see how we execute that one with Scott and Preston. So for years we've been doing these Music on the Rock shows. We do them, originally we did them in a rehearsal hall, and now we do them at the Playhouse downtown. But this year we actually have a Music on the Rock that needs to come back to the Rock because it is too big for the Playhouse downtown. It's the music of James Bond, where we take all of the classic songs from all of the classic films and we put them together into one evening of music. And considering the orchestra we're going to have, the choir we're going to have, the singers we're going to have, it really is worthy of the main stage. So for 2 weeks in September next year, we're going to put on the music of James Bond on our main stage, and I guarantee you, for those fans of the film and of the Ian Fleming character, it's going to be an experience that you're never going to forget. The process of choosing the 2014 season began a good 6 or 7 months prior to the announcement, and it began with us bringing together all the departments, artistic, production, marketing, development, and getting everybody in a room and discussing once again what is the mission of Flat Rock Playhouse, what are our values, and what is our vision for the theater. And then we began to look at which shows communicate that mission, the vision, and the values to our audience. And when we examined those shows, we recognized that we kind of had a theme that made a lot of sense for 2014, and that theme was
a season of love and laughter.